Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our PIB series. In this week, we are going to see very important topics with regard to the schemes and national policies. Let us see our first topic. The first topic is on Green Skill India Development Program. This particular thing is part of our GS paper 2 where we read about skill, that is human capital development. Skill development is part of our GS paper 2. With regard to that, we need to read this. Plus, in this particular news article, environment related issues are mentioned. Let us see what are those also. First, let us discuss what is the scheme of Green Skill Development Program. Green Skill Development Program is nothing but skilling or skill development in areas of environment, particularly with regard to the patents, protection or conservation measures, protection or conservation of the forests, wildlife. In all these aspects, people are trained. People are trained under Green Skill Development Program. This program is launched by Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. This ministry, but in general, we read that Ministry of Skill Development conducted skill development programs in that particular area. That we read. But what is this? Why this ministry is involved? Here, one basic thing is Ministry of Skill Development is the nodal agency. It means it collects plan of all the skill development programs from different ministries and then gathers through National Skill Development Mission. Here, this particular ministry, Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, this ministry is organizing this particular program, Green Skill Development Program. Likewise, different ministries organize their own skill development programs, but they all are coordinated by this Ministry of Skill Development. So, this is this. Here there is this ENVIS scheme. ENVIS means Environmental Information System. Environmental Information System scheme. This is the central sponsored scheme of Ministry of Environment and Forests Climate Change. This ministry's program. Under this particular program, in this program, all the data, research, technical knowledge, non-technical knowledge, everything is gathered through different resource persons or resource organizations, and it is collected at one place. That particular information is used for policy making. For example, let us see in this particular diagram, Delhi is the nodal agency. Here, ENVIS nodal agency is there. These are all other centers, state centers or union territory centers from which the environmental information is gathered and given to this particular nodal agency. This nodal agency of ENVIS, it collects all the information, it processes it and it uses it for the program or for implementation of policy, formulation and implementation of policy. That is regarding ENVIS. This particular thing is important for our prelims. For our prelims, ENVIS is important. It is a central sector scheme. It collects information. It collects technical data. All this is put together at the nodal center that is used for program and policy formulation. The next thing that we need to know here is through the Green Skill Development Program, GSDP, we want to achieve some targets related to these programs. One is regarding NDCs, that are nationally determined contributions, sustainable development goals, national biodiversity targets and waste management rules. These are very, very important both for our prelims and mains. Here we are not discussing them in detail, but we should know what are these individually. For example, let's take NDCs, nationally determined contributions. What are these NDCs? Under Paris Conference, Paris Convention, that is COP21. COP21 is the ministerial conference of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Under UNFCCC, ministerial conferences are conducted. Such one conference is COP21, under which Paris Agreement was made. Under this agreement, INDCs, intended nationally determined contributions, are made. What are these? These are certain goals determined individually by the countries for reducing the greenhouse gases to curtail climate change. In general, under Paris Agreement, all the countries agreed to reduce the greenhouse gases. These goals, the INDCs, are such goals where the governments of different countries, they give their goals, their contributions in reducing the greenhouse gases. INDCs are before ratifying the convention, the Paris Agreement. Once the countries ratify the convention, they are called NDCs. Now, for every 5 years, they need to revise these NDCs, and the revision should be on the upper scale. For example, if they want to reduce it by 10%, after 5 years, they have to go for above 10%, they cannot go for below 10%. Likewise, we have NDCs. To achieve NDCs, the Green Skill Development Program, under which people are trained in the adaptation technology, renewable energy technology, they are trained in that programs. So these goals can be achieved through that. The second thing is sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals are the development goals of UN, United Nations. These are continuation of MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, that were implemented from 2000 to 2015. By 2015, these MDGs ended, SDGs started. Here we have 17 goals under SDGs. We should remember what are these. Whenever we write answers in our mains examination, we have to use these particular goals. For example, if we are writing some answer regarding sanitation, we can quote Goal 6 of Sustainable Development Goals. Total we have 17. So this GSDP, the Green Skill Development Program, envisages to help achieve sustainable development goals. The next target under GSDP is biodiversity targets. We have National Biodiversity Action Plan of 2008. But in the year 2014, some national biodiversity targets are given. These are 12. 12 national biodiversity targets are given by the government. So we are trying to achieve them. In that also this program helps. This part is very important. In the year 2016, comprehensive waste management rules are notified by the Ministry of Environment and Forests. Under this ministry, plastic waste management rules, e-waste management rules, biomedical waste management rules, construction and demolition waste management rules, hazardous and other waste management rules, solid waste management rules. All these rules together we call as waste management rules. Waste management rules of 2016. To achieve these goals also, this GSDP program helps because it provides trained manpower in these sectors, which is urgent need. The next article is with regard to this conference, Regional Conference on Physical and Social Infrastructure for Regional Development. This is regarding the northeastern states and their development. Here, this particular part is integral to our GS paper 3, where we read about inclusive growth and development. What is this inclusive growth and development? Inclusive growth and development is the development should be contributed by all sections, by all communities, by all regions. The efforts should be from all these, and the fruits of these efforts, the result of these efforts are also should percolate equally among all sections. among all sections, among all communities, among all regions. That is inclusive growth. Here, under this conference, we should remember two things. One, infrastructural divisions. Infrastructural divisions is nothing but infrastructure is broadly divided into two types: social infrastructure, physical infrastructure. Both these are very important for the development of particular region. Here, a question may be asked: northeastern region, for development of northeastern region, infrastructural investment or investment in infrastructure is imperative. That can be a question. Then we should address from both these perspectives. But most often we write from the physical infrastructure perspective, but we should write from social infrastructure. That is investment in education, investment in health, investment on skill, etc. Physical infrastructure is roadways, railways, airways, ports, waterways, etc. Here, in this particular conference, one important thing is discussed. Let us see what is that. If we observe in this particular map, northeastern region is surrounded by many of the countries like Bhutan, China, Bangladesh, Myanmar. So, northeastern region is very important with the trade of our neighbors. Trade. It means they have the access to market. Access to market is there. But what other things are needed for better trade? One is human capital through physical capital or physical investment. 3, better infrastructure. So, among these 3, human capital is social infrastructure. These 2 are physical infrastructure related. So, building infrastructure is very, very important for development of Northeast. So, it can increase the trade with other countries. Further, it can connect with other markets like ASEAN. That's why we say that before looking east or acting east, we should look at northeast. That may be also a question from our GS2. Look northeast can be a question. In that, the major constraint is infrastructure, including both social and physical. Now, to address this infrastructural gap, to fill this gap, we have this organization called AIIB. In this particular conference, AIIB is also one of the coordinator. This AIIB, it wanted to fund infrastructural projects, both social and physical infrastructural projects in the northeastern region, so that that region gets developed. We should know what is this AIIB, what are its functions, who are its members, all this we should know. AIIB is nothing but Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. At present, 86 member countries are there. 86 member countries including UK, Germany, France, Canada, etc. But USA and Japan, these 2 are not members of AIIB. This is important from our prelims. It can be asked in our mains, but as we have prelims examination in the next week, we are discussing mostly the prelims related things. So this is important. USA and Japan are not members of AIIB. Its major objective is to fund infrastructural projects in the Asian region. In this particular bank, China has largest share and India is the second largest shareholder. Based on the capital investment, these shares are provided in this particular organization. If one country is providing 100 crores, then other country is providing 10, 5, etc. Then this country, as it has contributed more, this has highest share capacity. Likewise, shares are divided. This is general information regarding AIIB that we need to remember. The next article is regarding National Wind Solar Hybrid Policy. This is part of our GS paper 3 where we read about issues of environment conservation. Here we have the renewable energy target. India's renewable energy target is 175 gigawatts by 2022. This is our target. In this, 100 gigawatts is envisaged from solar, 60 gigawatts from wind, the remaining from other renewable sources. So to increase their capacity, now we are nowhere near to this. Now we are nowhere near to this target. So to increase this capacity, to increase renewable energy capacity, we went for this particular policy. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, this ministry released this National Wind and Solar Hybrid Policy. We should know what is this hybrid energy production process, why do we need this, what are the advantages of this. These three things we should discuss with respect to our mains. But with respect to prelims, this policy is given by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. This is our renewable energy target. See, a hybrid form looks like this. Hybrid wind and solar form looks like this. Why do we need hybrid forms? What is the need? Now, if we observe, for both wind forms and solar forms, we need land. Land is most scarce in India. So, land cost is high. For any solar project and wind project, the major constraint is first land acquisition, 2 cost of land. To address this, what can we do? Land use efficiency can be increased. Land use efficiency. Please remember these words because these words can be used in our answers, or when we write prelims examination, when we observe these words, we can identify that particular option here. So we need land. So we need to go for land use efficiency. For this particular thing, if we can integrate both wind and solar forms, land requirement reduces, power efficiency, power production efficiency increases, cost of production decreases because the input cost of purchasing land and maintaining land reduces. So because of all these things, hybrid policy of wind and solar is announced. This is regarding with respect to land. The second thing is solar and wind. Solar farms sometimes, for example in winter season or in some seasons when dust storms are there, continuity won't be there. Continuous capacity won't be there. During that time, wind can supplement the chain. Or when wind flow is not good, then solar can supplement this particular thing. Because of that particular reason, that is continuous supply to the grid. This hybrid system is adopted. What are the advantages of it? With increased renewable energy capacity, we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions that are emitted by the oil and its related products. Thermal power plants, we can reduce the pollutants, air pollutants due to this thermal power production plants. So likewise, we have many advantages due to this hybrid policy. For our prelims perspective, we should know one, this wind and solar, these two in combined, we go for one single form. 2 is, for example, let's say wind form generates 50% of the energy, solar form generates 50%. That is fine. Under this policy, this wind, solar, under this policy, at least 25% of the energy should be produced by one component. The other can be by other. That is one of the conditions. These 2 points we should remember for our prelims perspective. The next article is regarding National Biofuel Policy of 2018. Here we should know this topic is in our GS paper 3 environment. In that we have conservation, pollution. These are two topics. This topic or this policy can either be located either in the conservation part or in the pollution part. Both is fine. Here we should know what is biofuel. Biofuel is nothing but the fuel that is obtained from the recent living organisms. Why are we using this recent living organisms? It is because the conventional oil, the conventional fuel oil that we are using, they are also from the living organisms but not from the recent living organisms. Millions of years of stress and temperature, due to that the coal, oil, these are formed due to the living organisms only but under the high pressure and temperature conditions over a millions of years. But from the recent living organisms like plants or plant residue, sugar cane, etc., using them biofuels are produced. But these biofuels are produced from the recently living organisms like algae or sugar cane, etc. Let us see what are the types of biofuels. Biofuels are generally classified into 3 generations. One is the basic or 1G, first generation biofuels. They are produced directly from sugar cane or corn. Using them, the biofuels are produced in the first generation. But as the endangered food security, we went for second generation biofuels where we use waste, food waste or crop residue. Due to that, second generation biofuels are produced. There are third generation biofuels where microorganisms are used to produce the biofuels. There are different ways to produce biofuels. One is through the municipal solid waste to drop-in fuels. One is ethanol, one is bioethanol and biodiesel from the first generation, second generation, third generation. From first, second and third generation biofuels, we can produce both bioethanol and biodiesel. Bioethanol is blended with petroleum. Biodiesel is blended with the diesel. Here bioethanol policy we already have where we wanted to achieve 10% blending with the petrol, but we have not yet achieved it. This new policy envisages to increase that particular limit and to increase the usage of biofuels in the conventional fuels. Because of that, what are the advantages? The advantages include, one, as we know, India is mostly dependent upon oil imports for its energy needs. So when we are dependent more on the oil needs, we need to spend more from our forex reserves. Instead, if we can produce biofuels within our country, then this forex problem won't be there. Second point is the conventional oil and energy resources, they emit more pollutants and greenhouse gases. These greenhouse gases, as we know, they are causing global warming and climate change associated with that. To control global warming also, biofuels are used. Next thing is, it provides livelihood opportunity and food residue or food waste is used to produce biofuels. Because of that, farmers get the prices, remunerative prices for their products, and they get alternative employment. The rural areas gets developed. All these are advantages of biofuels. We should remember what are the first generation, second generation, third generation biofuels. What are the advantages of it? The next article is on micro irrigation fund with NABARD. Government recently approved micro irrigation fund. To know this, first we should know about Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. This is irrigation program. irrigation program. Under this particular program, there are majorly 4 components. First component is Har Khet Ko Pani, that is to provide water to all the farms. Surface minor irrigation, command area distribution, water diversion system, lift irrigation, traditional water harvesting, all these are part of this. That is, we have a source of water. From that source, this water need to be brought into different farms. How to do that is the job of this particular part of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. We call it as Har Khet Ko Pani. Under this, distribution lines, distribution channels, canals, micro irrigation tanks, etc. they are built under this particular Har Khet Ko Pani component. Then we have watershed component. Under this watershed component, the watershed, it means a particular area is taken as a unit of development. It's not just developing water resources, it's to develop livelihood, it's to develop runoff management, it's to go for water harvesting. With that, groundwater level recharge increases, people get livelihood opportunities, irrigation facilities in general leads to agricultural prosperity in that particular area. That is under watershed component. The third component is per drop more crop. In this particular thing, micro irrigation is given more focus. On farm management, that is within the farm, how to manage the water resources. Precision irrigation, that is drip and sprinkler irrigation. District and state irrigation plans, extension services, it means scientists and other agricultural support persons are supporting the farmers. Coordination and monitoring, these are components of per drop more crop. The fourth component is AIIB, that is Accelerated Irrigation Benefits Program. Under this, medium and major projects and national projects are undertaken. The smaller ones are undertaken under this Har Khet Ko Pani program. On farm or within the farm programs are undertaken under per drop more crop program. The entire regional development is taken through the watershed management program. In the year 2014, this comprehensive Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana is launched. Earlier, we had all these 4 programs under different ministries, but there was no coordination mechanism. To gather the investments and to converge the process of investments and monitoring of all these programs, this Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana program is launched. Now, our concern, that is the micro irrigation fund. Micro irrigation fund is announced in the year 2007 during the budget. Now, a year later, government notified and given some fund to NABARD for implementation of micro irrigation fund. This is under per drop more crop component. As we have seen earlier, among the 4 components, this is regarding per drop more crop component because it is regarding micro irrigation fund. So, this NABARD lends money to different states and union territories. These states, they provide subsidies to the farmers for going for micro irrigation equipment, etc. Now, we have this other fund called long-term irrigation fund, that is also under NABARD. Long-term irrigation fund is for implementation of programs, other programs where medium and large projects under AIIB. Under AIIB, the 4th component, we have seen large projects are implemented. For that program, we have large irrigation fund or long-term irrigation fund. This is micro irrigation fund. This is long-term irrigation fund that is used for projects under AIIB, which is provided by NABARD. These are important for our prelims examination. They may ask a question from this. This micro irrigation fund is implemented by whom? It is given for what purpose? It is used by whom? Etc. can be asked. So, please go through this once. Next, The next article is regarding intellectual property mascot. Intellectual property is a concept of our GS paper 3 science and technology, where we have the subject or the topic called intellectual property rights and related issues. Here, to know what is this intellectual property mascot, we should know what is intellectual property. Intellectual property is nothing but the knowledge or technology that is produced out of own creativity or creative thoughts. By that, if they produce a knowledge base or a technology, then that is called intellectual property of that particular organization or person. Intellectual properties are of different types like copyrights, patents, trademarks, geographical indication, etc. All these are part of intellectual property. Here, what is this mascot? Who released it? DIPP, Department of Industrial Promotion and Policy. This department is responsible to take care of intellectual property and related issues. So, this department released this IP Nani is the name of that intellectual property mascot. This is the one. Here, this is to educate people, especially the young children, regarding the IP rights, intellectual property rights, so that they are encouraged towards it and the misuse of IP rights are not done. So, we should remember just this name. IP Nani is related to what? Intellectual property rights. Who relates it or who releases it? Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, DIPP, under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. That is with respect to prelims. The next article is regarding freight village. This particular thing is related to infrastructure. So, this comes under our GS paper 3 infrastructure, where we read about different infrastructure and related issues. Here, this important corridor, Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor project is very important, under which this freight village is established recently. What is this Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor? Here, if we observe, from Delhi, from this place to Mumbai, that is all these areas, this corridor is nothing but a investment zone where multiple industries or multiple industrial clusters are planned. For example, if we take from here, this provides rail connectivity, road connectivity, air connectivity. Through all these interconnections, corridors are established and industrial development is promoted in this particular corridor. Here we can see this corridor passes through UP, Union Territory of Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 areas this corridor passes, and Rajasthan has the largest length. Then second comes Gujarat. Gujarat and Rajasthan combined has 77% of total length of this freight corridor or industrial corridor. Here we should know that 6 places. It starts from Dadri and it ends at Jawaharlal Nehru Port. These are end terminals of this particular corridor. This corridor is funded majorly by Japan. It means the funding assistance plus technology. Fund and technological assistance is provided by Japan. India also invests some amount. Japan is investing most of it in the form of soft loan. We'll give it back once we get profits out of this particular industrial corridor. So, these are the basic things that we should know in this particular aspect. The freight village that we have in news is established in the Haryana region, where for producing the capital goods, this particular place is established. That is not the important thing, but what is this Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor is important. The next article is regarding DAY, National Urban Livelihoods Mission. this particular part comes under our GS paper 2 welfare schemes. Here, what is this Deen Dayal Upadhyay Antyodaya Yojana, under which NULM, National Urban Livelihoods Mission. We also have National Rural Livelihoods Mission, which is implemented by Ministry of Rural Development, but this NULM, National Urban Livelihoods Mission, it is implemented by Ministry of Urban Development. Under this particular program, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, NRLM, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, NULM. Under this particular program, employment opportunities are provided to the poor people to reduce poverty and vulnerability. Here employment is of two types. One is self-employment, two is wage employment, remunerative wage employment. Under the self-employment program, the poor people are trained to start their own business. Or they may be a vendor. So they are given assistance under self-employment program. Under wage employment program, different ministries, they converge under skill development program. So they provide skill development. Through that, they also provide wage employment in different companies at different places. These employment opportunities are also shown to the people by giving them the skill development. That is NULM. These two, the self-employment and wage employment, these two can reduce the vulnerability and provide the working conditions of the poor. That is the main objective of National Urban Livelihoods Mission. The next article is regarding Zojila Tunnel. This is in news because Prime Minister of India attended the commencement of this particular tunnel. First, we should know what is the location of this tunnel and why this is needed. Here in this particular map, if we see, this is National Highway 1A. In this particular national highway, from this to this is Kargil area, border area. We have this connectivity to Leh in the Ladakh province. So under this national highway route, there is this pass near Kargil that is called Zojila Pass. But this pass, as it is located in the Himalayas, it is prone to landslides, snow avalanches, and sometimes during winters this entire path gets blocked due to the snowfall. Then what is the connectivity between this particular place, Srinagar to Leh? Then during that particular time the connectivity is getting disconnected. To address this problem, to have 24/7 and all year connectivity, this tunnel, Zojila Tunnel, is proposed. Now the work has been started. This project is expected to be completed by the next 5 years. So we should know where this pass is there, and this pass connects which highway and which areas. What is the alternative route to reach Leh? There is one other alternative, that is from Himachal Pradesh. There is this route, but this route is also having same problems like snowfall during winter, landslides, etc. So if we can go for this tunnel, Zojila Tunnel, then these problems can be solved. Plus, it is located in a strategic area. It is very near to the Pak-occupied Kashmir to India. So, it is strategically important to gather the army personnel. So, government went for this pass. So, we should know the location of this particular pass. Next, this article or this news is regarding the agricultural investment in agriculture. Now, this comes under RGS paper 3, agriculture. In that, agricultural credit is one of the important concept. Here, affordable agricultural credit is the word used by our Vice President. What is this affordable agricultural credit? Credit in general is provided by two different sources. One, by the formal institutions, that is through the formal sources. Two is informal sources. Formal sources include banks and other financial institutions. Informal sources include traditional money lenders, friends, family, etc. Under these formal institutions, the interest rates are low, but here relatively they are very high. Interest rates are very high. Formal institutions, they require collateral. Collateral means some guarantee for the loan that is given by the bank. But in most of the cases, as we have small and medium farmers who are not having this collateral to submit to the banks, they are getting their credit from the informal sources. What happens due to that? They need to pay high interest rates. So whatever profits they get out of agriculture, that goes for repayment of the loan. So they are not getting any profit. To address this particular thing, we need to have affordable credit to the farmers. So here in this cycle, farmers need to be provided with formal sources, formal source of credit at the lowest interest rate to make the agriculture an affordable occupation. The next topic is regarding common service centers. This is part of our GS paper 2 governance topic, where we read about e-governance. Under e-governance, e-technology plays very important role. This common service center, CSC is common service centers. They are the implementation agencies under National E-Governance Plan of 2006. Under this plan, common service centers are the implementation agencies at the grassroots level. These common service centers, they operate in the local level. They provide different services like getting the certificates. For example, in AP we have e-Seva Kendras. These are nothing but common service centers. They provide agricultural information, they provide information regarding weather, etc. All these are services provided by these e-Seva or common service centers. E-Seva is one form of common service center. This is very important. Penetration of common service centers, very, very important for achieving the goal of digital India. That's why here in this particular article, Union Minister of Electronics and IT, he says that for most of this 2.5 lakh gram panchayats, we are going to make them as Dizzy Gowns. Dizzy Gown is a program under Digital India program where digital services are provided to the particular gram or gown, that is Dizzy Gown. Here we have 6 lakh villages overall in India. Out of these 6 lakh villages, 2.5 lakh gram sabhas, they are provided with the CSCs to promote digital inclusion, to promote digital services under Digital India program. I have provided 2 questions at the end of this particular video. Please try to answer them in the comment section. Thank you very much.